Dear guests, dear colleagues, on behalf of the European Network of Agricultural Journalists, I am proud to welcome you to the ENAJ Virtual Forum 2022. In a few days, the new cap will come into effect for more than 10 million European farms and for about 20 million persons working in agriculture. Anyway, agriculture concerns about all the 445 million of European inhabitants, as our food comes from agriculture, and agriculture protects our country's environment and landscape. It is the same, of course, for the agricultural journalism. Therefore, it is highly important that in the first part of our forum we can hear live the European Agricultural Commissioner, Mr. Wojciechowski. We thank him for accepting our invitation. Our colleague Damien O'Reilly, Vice-President of ENAJ, will interview him. The new CAP presents important key reforms aiming to ensure a fairer, greener and more effective agricultural policy. Among them, ENAJ planned to underline the role of younger farmers and women's farming. Now women lead less than 1/3 of the European farms, but the number is growing. Improving the gender balance and increasing the participation of women in farming are part of the objectives of all the national strategic plans of the new CAP. This will be the subject of the second part of our virtual forum, with a panel of 3 very expert speakers, and Damien as host. During the forum, you will watch the video winner of the ENAJ friendly contest on women in agriculture. We warmly thank all the national guilds participating in it. The last part of our forum will quickly present Farm Book, a European project on a dissemination of technical and scientific results in agriculture, and in which we hope to involve all the agricultural journalists of ENAJ. Our schedule is very busy, so I leave the stage to Damien, but before, let me wish to you all a positive and bright Christmas.
Lisa, thank you very much indeed. You are welcome live here to the European Parliament in Brussels for our second ENAJ forum. We had it last year and we're delighted to be back here once again this year here in Brussels. And as Lisa Belocchi said there, we are joined by the EU Agricultural Commissioner Janusz Wojciechowski. Commissioner, it's a great pleasure to have you once again at our forum. I know you've had a very busy day because we've had the Outlook conference here today as well. You were speaking at it this morning. I just want to talk to you about, I suppose, a couple of the big issues at the moment, not least the terrible war in Ukraine. How has that impacted on food production and farming in general across Europe?
Oh, this Russian aggression, unprovoked, illegal aggression against Ukraine, this is a tragedy for the people, this is humanitarian tragedy for Ukrainian people, but the heroic fight of the Ukrainian soldiers and Ukrainian society, we are under impression of this heroic defense of their independence. They also defend us, Europeans, because Russia is, will not stop aggressive policy only in Ukraine. But we need to support Ukraine, and this is a challenge for the whole European Union and the whole democratic world to support Ukraine. But also we have the problem with it creates risk for the food security. because Ukraine is one of the biggest cereals exporter in the world. The delivery of grain from Ukraine is very important for the food security in many regions of the world, like North Africa or Middle East. And after aggression, the export from Ukraine was blocked. And in March, the first month after the beginning of the war, the export was reduced to the 200,000 tons in March. But the normal export from Ukraine before the war was about the 56 million tons per month. But thanks to the solidarity lanes, the support for Ukrainian export, coordinated by the European Commission, but this is the effort, first of all, member states, neighboring member states like Poland, like Romania. We supported the Ukrainian export from the April we started this initiative, yes. Solidarity Lanes. Until now, there was exported about the 17 million tons of grain. By the solidarity lines. This is the success story. Okay. And now the export from Ukraine is almost the same like before the war.
Okay, and we are aware, of course, of the great solidarity right across the European Union for the people in Ukraine, including taking in refugees. And we are aware, obviously, of the very difficult time it has been, as you said, for farmers there. What about European farmers, though? Because they have also been affected. There's high input costs as a result, partly yes. of what's happening there.
Yes.
So what do you say to European farmers now as we look ahead to the winter and into 2023 at the high input costs? How is the EU going to help them?
No, yes, one of the consequences of this Russian aggression is firstly the increase of the gas prices, and this is domino effect, higher prices of fertilizers, because the gas is very important for the fertilizer production, and high prices of fertilizers, high cost for the farmers, and high price of food. This is the consequence, also the war. But very important to say to the European consumers that farmers are not responsible for increase of the food price, because this is the 100% the consequence of the Russian aggression and
the higher input costs.
The high input cost, which is not fully compensated by the increase of the agricultural products. But we, the European Union, support the farmers. No, we have not a special budget. This is only the crisis reserve in the budget of the Common Agricultural Policy. We activated this crisis reserve to support farmers affected by the crisis, but also we open opportunity to use the state aid. For the fertilizer industry, the member states can support the fertilizer producers. One company can receive 150 million euro. This is maximum threshold of the support. Also, the farmers can be supported by state aid. This is the main action from the European Union.
You mentioned the Common Agricultural Policy. It's been a long road to the point we're at now, where the new policy will kick in the new year. There's been a lot of debate about it, as you know. The strategic plans have been submitted. Obviously, sustainability is the buzzword, and it's key to the future survival of the planet. We need to obviously change the way we produce food to be kinder to the environment, but also to maintain farmers on the land. Now, when you look at this CAP reform, there will be some people say it goes too far to the green sustainability side of things. There are others that say it does not go nearly far enough. Where do you stand on that?
I think that we have found a good compromise, good balance between, from one side, to productivity of agriculture, because we need agricultural production for food security. From other hand, we need to make our agriculture more friendly for environment, more sustainable, for long perspective, to be resilient, to be sustainable. This is also food security, but in long perspective. But in short-term perspective, we decided for example, to derogate some restrictions which can, in short term, reduce agricultural production, like non-productive areas, mandatory for the farmers according to the CAP reform. It was derogated for the year 2023. The farmers can use all potential, all farmland to produce food. But in the long-term perspective, in the common agriculture policy, we have a balanced approach. For example, the target for the climate, for the environment are not mandatory for the farmers. This is there is voluntary for the farmers. We incentivize the farmers to improve, for example, the animal welfare standards, to improve to reduce, for example, pesticides, fertilizers. This is our approach. Like, interesting that, for example, animal welfare. In strategic plans, there is amount for the improved animal welfare standard is 7 billion euro used by member states. And in previous CAP, it was only 1.5 billion euro. Now we have 7 billion euro, and we can expect the big progress in animal welfare standards.
In that, okay. And of course, it'll be around this time next year that you'll be analysing the progress of the CAP. Some people say that'll be a little bit too soon. We need a little bit longer for that to actually happen. Finally, before we go, Commissioner, the theme of our event this year is women in agriculture, and I know it's something you touched on this morning at the Outlook conference. There are only 30% of women are farm owners. In my own country of Ireland, it's actually something like 12%. What can we do to empower women and support women in agriculture?
First of all, we should to see this participation of women in agriculture, the percentage of women as a manager in the farms, in the general context that we have the problem that we lost 3 million farms during 1 decade in the European Union. The numbers of farms was reduced from 12 million to 9 million, and we have the problem of lack of generational renewal, because the 1/3 part of the farmers, they are in age 65 plus.
Getting older, yeah.
They are getting older. But one positive indicator, according to the census, is increase of a percentage of women in agriculture. 2010 it was only 28%. Now there is 31%. Positive, small but positive signal, because to have generational renewal, to encourage the young people to work in agriculture, to be a farmer, this is necessary, that the gender balance, this is, we can expect improvement of generational renewal in the future, increasing the participation of women in agriculture, and I'm happy about this small but progress.
Small but incremental. Okay.
Yes.
Well, Commissioner, as I said, it's great that you've been able to join us once again this year, and hopefully you'll be back. The invite is open to you to join us again here in 12 months' time. But for the moment, thank you very much. We wish you a very happy Christmas.
I have also to use the opportunity to thank the all European farmers. That's for their contribution into the food security, their effort to ensure food security in European Union, and their contribution to ensure food security at the global level. This is huge achievement of our farmers, that in this very dramatic crisis situation, we have no food crisis, and the food security is ensured in the long and medium term perspective. But we need to support more to ensure economic security for the farmers, to continue the food security in the future. Thank you very much for the invitation.
All right, and as I said, thank you once again indeed. Well, we spoke about women in agriculture there, and we will be continuing with that theme after this. OK, you're very welcome back here to the ENAJ Forum. We're here live in the European Parliament in Brussels. Well, the theme of this year's event is women in agriculture, and as the Commissioner was saying a little bit earlier on, there is very small progress being made with regards to the amount of women that are involved in agriculture at European level and that are managing farms. So I'm delighted to say that we're joined here in the studio by Natasha Foote, who is an agri-food presenter and reporter with Euractiv. We are also joined here by Irene Tolleret, who's a French MEP, elected for the first time in 2019 and sometimes a participant in the Agricultural Committee here in the Parliament. And we're joined on Skype from Poland by Hanna Chodakowska, who's Vice Chair of the Women's Committee with Copa. You're all very welcome to our special programme. I suppose maybe to begin with yourself, Natasha, because you are somebody that is on the beat here in Brussels, is, I suppose, the empowering of women in agriculture and women in agriculture in general and the low numbers in certain age groups, is it something that's prominent? Is it something that the Commission are pushing hard to try and improve?
Yeah, it's definitely a conversation we're having more and more. We're hearing more and more about the importance of women in agriculture, in the agriculture sector in general, on farms and also more widely in the sector. Of course, gender equality and the empowerment of women in the CAP reform is a key objective of this next CAP reform. So, you know, it was really pushed on in this CAP reform, and it will be pushed through many CAP plans. So these plans that are individualised plans that each EU country will put forward to explain how they will go about achieving the main objectives of the CAP reform. So yes, gender equality is definitely something that we're talking more and more about in the agri-food sector, and something we do need to speak even more about.
Yeah. Is it something that is spoken about in the Parliament, Irene?
Yes, of course, and more, because maybe women in agriculture are the path to the solution to all the challenges we have to tackle. We have a renewal generation problem to face, and we have a lot of women that study agriculture but that do not become farmers. So this potential of a female, if we put the correct policies and transform them into farmers, maybe it's a solution for the generation renewal problem that we have.
And is it an issue in your own country, in France?
Of course, yes. For instance, in France, when you go to the agricultural studies, you have 76% of the students that are female, but when you go to becoming a farmer, I think it's 27-ish% that become farmers. So there is a discrepancy. And also, it means that we miss on some opportunities. Because these women that can become farmers, they will embody a new generation. So we can start direct with all the new tools that we need. So digitalization of agriculture, you name it.
Yeah, OK. And Hanna, over to you. Thank you for joining us, albeit remotely. As I said, you are Vice Chair of the Women's Committee in Copa, and Copa, of course, representative of European farm organisations and cooperative movements as well. Tell me a little bit more about the committee and what its remit is, what you do.
Hello again. I'm a member of Women's Committee, but also I'm a farmer and a member of agricultural chambers. And what our committee does. Through the Women's Committee at Copa, we have ramped up our efforts in promoting the valuable role women farmers are playing. As a part of the most recent activities, we created an Inspirers initiative, which aimed to showcase the role of women in the agriculture sector, whether they be working as farmers or in organizations and industry. We also wanted to highlight the various role models in order to encourage more women to get involved in the sector, because at the end of the day, if she can see it, she can be it. We also want to highlight the importance of skills and training. We also organize every 2 years a Women's Farmer Innovation Award. Its purpose is to promote the greater examples from our members and promote the different and innovative projects women farmers are driving in their areas, as well as ensuring they have means to succeed. Our next award will focus on women farmers at the forefront of rural areas. We want to showcase but also reiterate the diverse landscape of European agriculture, as well as the people in it. I hope by promoting the women farmers initiatives across Europe, it can not only give others the confidence to do something similar, but to also drive support and recognition for the valuable role they play.
Okay, and Hannah, just another question to you on that. Do you think, I mean, we know that farmers and food producers across the EU, they face great challenges. We touched on some of those with the Commissioner earlier. Do you think it's even more difficult for women in agriculture, the challenges?
Yes, agriculture has traditionally been a male-dominated sector, and this brings with it a general stereotype of farmers and farmers' wife. This has done a little to recognize the crucial role women play in rural areas. As the Commissioner said, today around 30% of farmers are managed by women. Only 28% of those working in agriculture are women, and only 4.9% of farmers are women under the age of 35. So for our sector to succeed, we need those figures to seriously increase. We need more women, more young people in general to invest and innovate in our sector. Women brings the multifunctional activities in rural areas. They are often very innovative, and you asked me about the challenges. I think, yes, it's still hard to be a woman farmer, because in some areas, in some countries, it is hard to get access to financial, to support, to
Sure.
the knowledge. So yes, we have to support women, but we also have to show the examples where women succeed and they can really be good farmers.
Okay. Okay, well, Hannah, we're going to let you go at this point, but thank you so much for taking time. I know you're busy for joining us from Poland this evening. Just before we move on to a couple of other topics in this regard, women in decision-making positions in agriculture, on boards as well, it's not just on the farm, it's also at decision-making level that there sometimes is a lack of women, and you see farm organisations where it's completely male-dominated. Why is that, do you think, Irene?
It's not specific to agriculture. We have a strength of patriarchy in all the sphere where power is located in our union, and agriculture too. On the other hand, because of this lack of manpower, we have contradictory examples. Christiane Laubert is head of the farmer organization in France, head of Copa. We have Matilda, who is Poggi, who is head of Sevi. And so little by little, women get their fair share, and it's normal. They can be helped also by new laws and regulation coming from the European Union. I'm thinking, for instance, that women on board, it's sure that all the farm companies, the big the big operators will have to respect percentages of women on their boards.
Okay, Natasha, you are the youngest person here, so I think that's fair to say, Irene. But on the issue of young people in farming, whatever about women in agriculture, young people in farming feel they're not getting a fair crack of the whip either, and that the Commission and governments are not doing enough to support and encourage young farmers. Is that something right across the Union?
Yeah, I mean, we've already touched upon this issue of generational renewal. It's a huge issue. You know, the Commissioner spoke about it. I think Hannah also referenced it. You know, our population of farmers are greying, they're aging. There is a worrying percentage of farmers that are above 65. And actually, to bring it back to the issue of women, actually that figure gets even bigger when you're talking about women. There's an even smaller fraction of women farmers that are under 35 than compared to male farmers. And that means that the gender gap really has this potential to actually widen in the coming years unless there's, you know, concerted action taken now to challenge this. And of course, you know, if we don't invest in young farmers and in women in agriculture, you know, these people are at the heart of rural communities. You know, to renew rural communities, we need women and we need young farmers.
Okay, just moving on before we finish to, I suppose, other pressing matters. We mentioned the Common Agricultural Policy there. We're finally at a stage where the next 7-year plan will begin to roll out.
Yeah.
Is it controversial, despite the fact that we've had, you know, all the stakeholders, I suppose, involved in piecing it together? We've had the strategies. Is it still something that's causing controversy?
Absolutely, yes. There's still controversy going on. I think when there's that much money involved in a policy, there's always going to be controversy. You know, it's worth a third of the EU budget, so we're talking about a lot of money here. This year, yeah, it's been a bumpy ride. I think it's fair to say in the entry into force of the CAP, which comes into force on the 1st of January. With the strategic plans, there's a number of innovations in this CAP reform. So naturally, you know, there's bumps in the road, and you know, you have to work through that and figure out how this is actually going to be implemented on the ground. Of course, the Ukraine war caused a big sticking point in the rollout of the CAP reform. You know, we saw a number of the CAP plans had to be changed and updated before they were even adopted. So you know, it's been quite a difficult kind of rollout. In terms of controversies, I mean, you know, we're looking now to see the details of what are in these CAP plans that have been approved now from the Commission. The Commissioner was talking about, you know, how this will play out in practice. This is yet to be seen. But some of these innovations we're talking about, where the money goes, how farmers take up these voluntary measures that he was talking about, these eco schemes, how they're actually taken up next year. This is all to be seen. And there's still a number of controversies, and you know, talking about how successful this will be, and yeah, different stakeholders on different sides.
And Irene, I mean, does it go far enough in, I suppose, meeting the demands of the Green Deal and the Farm to Fork proposals, and you know, mitigating against biodiversity loss?
The CAP reform, you mean?
Yes.
The new CAP reform is a lot greener than the old CAP we had. Of course, it's not perfect, and it could be more green or more this or more that, but it exists. Let's deliver on it. That's what we democratically agreed to do. And there is one reason for which nobody could have voted down this CAP. It's the right to mistake, because so many farmers had big problems in their payments because of the administrative hassle that can be the CAP. And in this new CAP, there is a stop, I made a mistake button that helped them their payment still without, which was not the case before. So it's more human.
More human. Okay. We're going to leave it there. I want to thank you both very much, and indeed to you, Irene, and your team here in the Parliament for hosting us today. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you for all your help. And Natasha, thank you as well.
Thank you.
Continued success with you and your career reporting on the beat. And Hannah, thank you very much for joining us as well from Poland. Well, as I said, the theme is women in agriculture. So we decided in the ENAJ to invite our members from around Europe to send us a video highlighting the role of women. And we had entries from many countries, but there can only be one winner, and the adjudicating committee of the ENAJ from a number of countries who entered have chosen the following as the winner. It's a video which has been sent to us from Finland, from a farm in southern Finland, and it's from Ellen Rydbeck. Take a look at this.
Mä oon Elle Rydbeck, mä oon maanviljelijä täällä Suontaan kartanolla Mä oon koulutukseltani kauppatieteiden maisteri ja olin ulkomailla töissä ennen kuin sitten palasin tänne tilalle jatkamaan tilanpitoa. Meillä on tällä tilalla luomuemolehmiä ja luomukasviviljelyä ja tämän lisäksi meillä on metsää eli harjoitamme metsätaloutta. Mä harrastan ratsastusta 2 hevosella, metsästän täällä meidän omalla mailla ja olen mukana kunnallispolitiikassa. Musta tuli tämän tilan 5. viljelijäsukupolvi mun äidin jälkeen. Hän piti tilaa noin 30 vuotta, mutta itse asiassa myös mun isän äiti oli maanviljelijä Skånessa. Mä olen hieman huolissani suomalaisesta maataloudesta, mutta mä näen siihen myös tosi paljon potentiaalia. Mun mielestä Suomessa on erittäin hyvät edellytykset tuottaa ruokaa kestävällä tavalla. Meillä on ollut täällä vuosikausia korkealaatuista tutkimusta ja meidän maatilat on niin kuin hyvin laadukkaita ja sitä tehdään suurella intohimolla, mutta se on myös elämäntyö eikä vaan niin kuin päivätyö. Eli sitä täytyy voida tehdä taloudellisesti kestävästi, mutta myös sillä tavalla, että se tuo jotain merkitystä. Suomessa on niin kuin vielä ihan huippumaatalous ja ruoantuotanto myös tulevaisuudessa. Mä halusin nähdä monipuolisempaa suomalaista maataloutta. Jokaisella tilalla on joku oma ratkaisunsa. Ne näyttää kaikki erilaisilta ja mun mielestä sitä niin kuin pitää kunnioittaa ja täytyy antaa tilallisten löytää niin kuin omat heille sopivat ratkaisunsa. Mä oon tosi iloinen tästä teemasta, mun mielestä se on ihan loistava. Ja mä haluan lämpimästi toivottaa tervetulleeksi kaikki uudet naismaanviljelijät tälle alalle. Mut on aina otettu tosi hyvin vastaan ja mä toivon, että niin kaikki muutkin.
Well done indeed. That is Ellen Rydback from Tavastia there in southern Finland. You got to love that accent, don't you? And it was a great video, so congratulations to her and well done to everybody who partook in our little video competition. And thanks to our committee member Jan Below for organising that this year, and we'll do the same again next year. Now, to finish, we're going to talk about a new project which has been organised by Horizon Europe, and it aims to knowledge and innovate. To be a knowledge and innovation translator in agriculture. I'm getting all mixed up here because I've brought an expert, somebody who knows all about it, to explain what the EU Farm Book is all about. Katharina Zeuser is former president of the ENAJ and a current committee member. You're welcome, Katharina. So what is the EU Farm Book?
The EU Farm Book is a project funded by the Horizon program of the EU, and it aims on the knowledge and innovation transfer into agriculture. So what the project is supposed to do, it should develop a platform, a digital platform, to provide information which can be shared with everybody in all EU languages. And it should also be used for networking, bringing together all the knowledge and innovation systems on the
across
local...
different stakeholder groups in the food chain.
Yeah.
And how many countries are involved in this?
There are 29 organizations from 18 countries.
Oh, that's good.
So.
And what role does the ENAJ and our members that are watching here, how can they be impacted or how can they support the EU Farm Book project?
Yeah, ENAJ is the umbrella organization of the agricultural journalists in the European Union. And agricultural journalists play a very important role in innovation transfer because they inform the farmers on all important topics, to be more efficient, to be more sustainable. And so the University of Ghent, who is the leader of the consortium, they addressed ENAJ, how can we introduce you into this network? Yeah.
It's at the very early stages, I believe.
It is. We're in the starting phase, and so we have to get organized. And but we in ENAJ, we decided to inform as early as possible about this project.
And as you said, Ghent University very much involved in this. So there's a lot of key players involved in pushing this forward.
Yes, there are university there, but also farmers' organizations. And
journalists, yeah, and students as well.
Yeah, okay. Students are also working in this project. Yeah, they're doing some research on the needs of agricultural journalists right now.
Because I suppose a big challenge facing agricultural journalism is being relevant in the broad mainstream media. And our colleagues around Europe will talk about how, I suppose, the column inches devoted to agri-food is getting smaller, and that then creates a bigger disconnect between the consumer and the farmer. So this is something that might actually help fill a knowledge gap there in the middle.
Exactly. EU Farm Book is also for journalists from the public media who are interested in reporting on agriculture, on the services what farmers do. Yeah. And so they also get a very interesting instrument where they can get information, but also where they can network, where they can find experts to interview. So it will help in general, not only.
Yeah, because communication of agriculture and food production is key now, particularly as we face huge challenges in relation to climate and the impact, I suppose, of food production on the climate and the role that farmers will actually play in mitigating and decarbonising. So it's very timely. So it's work in progress, Katharina.
It is work in progress, and thank you for presenting this here, because this is a very important topic for ENAJ, and ENAJ will help to spread these informations for journalists of public media, of agriculture media, and ENAJ will also organize press events about innovation topics in agriculture. So that will be quite challenging.
All right. Well, it's been great having you here, Katharina. Thank you very much for joining us. It's just coming towards 6 o'clock here in Brussels, so that means Belgian beer time for Katharina and for me and the team here who've helped broadcast this event here today. I want to thank all of our guests. I want to thank, as I said once more, Irene Tolleret, who is the MEP who hosted us. Thank you to the Commissioner as well, and to our other participants in today's second ever ENAJ annual forum. We also would like to thank the crew here at Voxbox in the European Parliament for the professionalism, their patience and their support in putting this together. So it just remains for me, Damien O'Reilly, on behalf of the Management Committee of the ENAJ, to wish you all a very happy Christmas and a successful 2023, and we hope to see you on some of our low-budget farm trips in that year. Bye-bye.